Hi there, welcome to BOA 54. I am Hawa and this is Ordinary People Africa. Ordinary People is a series containing interviews of ordinary men and women of Africa beating the odds in and out of Africa. In this series, I will be collaborating with Dear Diaspora, hosted by Undu. Dear Diaspora is a podcast celebrating African diaspora as change makers, innovators, and entrepreneurs working together to make the world the best place to live in. I would recommend checking out more of their content on your website at www.theirdiasporashow.com, and do check out the description box below for more information. Before we get started, if this is your first time, thank you for joining us. Our passion here at BOA 54 is to promote a positive Africa, one video at a time. If this sounds like anything you would love to be a part of, go ahead and join the family of BOA by hitting that subscribe button and notification bell next to it so you can keep learning about Africa and you don't miss anything. Also, most importantly, share this video and channel with your family and friends to help us promote a positive Africa. Be sure to check out BOA 54 merch. Every purchase that you make helps us produce this videos that you guys so much love. So let's get into the interview. A little disclaimer though, this is an audio interview, so take a listen.
Justin, thank you so much for being a guest on Dear Diaspora. I'm so excited to have you.
No problem. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to getting to know you a bit more and more about your work with BYDESIGN and some of your other work. And so let's get started by just getting to know you a little bit more. So where are you from? Where did you grow up? And what's your experience been like living here in the U.S.?
So I'm from... originally, my family were from Nigeria. My dad's side is Okwele, so Imo State. Here in the U.S., I was born in Wichita, Kansas. So definitely from a really small town. Growing up, my experience here in the U.S., I'd say it was kind of, I don't know if it's unique or if it's pretty much similar to every other first generation American. You know what I mean? My family came over here, and my parents, it's not that they don't really know the customs of America, but they raise you in a Nigerian home trying to, I guess, balance between the two. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was a really big part of my childhood. Growing up in Wichita, it was always, you go to school and you're a little kid, you feel like you're being raised by all of your friends and your surroundings, like a product of your environment, but you're also growing up in that same other environment that you're also a product of at home, and kind of going between two different cultures.
And when would you say you kind of got a bit more aware of the fact that, I'm Nigerian and that's different, and maybe there aren't too many other people with a similar background in my class? When did you start to kind of really notice that?
That probably, honestly, that hit me really early. I think the first African joke you get in elementary school, it probably hits you pretty quick, something might be a little different. But I was lucky enough to grow up in Wichita, where there was a really strong Nigerian association. So a lot of my really close friends growing up were also just like me, first generation Nigerian Americans or other Africans in the city who were going through the same experiences at the same time. So I never really had that moment of, wow, something is different. I knew it was, but I think for me, it was trying to understand who I was in that reality. You know what I mean? I feel like there was it's trying to figure out, am I more of this or am I more of that? Is it okay to be totally who I am, or do I need to find ways to assimilate, to navigate comfortably in spaces where, when I'm not around my other Nigerian friends at school every day and it's just me, how do I make it through that? So it it was, I guess, a mental back and forth. And I guess as I get older, I think back and I'm looking at it like, is that something that is unique to my experience, or is that just actually the experience of the first generation American, whether you're African or uh, Southern American or whatever, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's super interesting. And I mean, like me, like I came here when I was 10,
Okay.
and I had like a good amount of other like Zambian friends, and it was always interesting because I always felt more myself around them. But then
Yeah.
when I went to school, it's like, you had to kind of code switch like a little
Hmm.
bit. So that was interesting, kind of like navigating that growing up. So I kind of get where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's like every day trying to continue to be a couple of people versus just
Yeah.
being able to be yourself, uh, being someone who is heavily immersed in culture every day, but the culture that you're heavily immersed in being, I guess, dual American and where your family's naturally from.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. And so, growing up, would you say your parents encouraged you? And sorry, do you have siblings?
I do. I
Uh,
do. I have a few. I have three sisters and one brother.
okay. So, would you say your parents encouraged you guys to be creative and kind of open yourselves up to like different opportunities to like express yourselves? Or was it kind of more of like the traditional, like, you're going to be this, study
Yeah.
this
Be a doctor or
subject?
a lawyer.
Yeah. Like, how was that for you guys growing up?
I was definitely told I was going to be a doctor or a lawyer. Even to this day, I'm not either, and they still don't know what I do. I feel like those are the only two professions they really took the time to fully understand. But no, they definitely, I mean, growing up for me, I was really into creativity. My grandfather actually was an author in Nigeria and England. So my mother grew up in that world of seeing where creativity had taken the family on her side. Uh, but it was always interesting to me growing up that it was never fully embraced. So when I grew up and I wanted to be I grew up wanting to be a columnist, honestly. Like I wanted to go to school for journalism, and I wanted to see where writing and these kind of passions would take me for diving deeper into my mind and trying to put it on paper. But my mom told me real quick, you're going to be hungry. So I had to let that one go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it definitely. I wouldn't say that it was. I think that that's probably. I think that I'm sure that that's the common occurrence in many families growing up.
Mm. Yeah. And so I guess fast forward to you deciding to get started with by design.
Hmm.
Um, like obviously it's like it's like more of a side project for you. But were you like hesitant at all, or like what kind of pushed you to finally like get started with it?
I think that there wasn't hesitancy. It was a collective understanding that there is a lack of representation in the lane of creativity in the community that we live in. Um, there's a lack of comfortable space for creatives of all likes in the community that we live in, and having that collective understanding of that. Myself and my co-founders and brothers, Mufwa Lewis, co-founder and creative director of BYDESIGN, and Tony Henry, uh, co-founder and art director of BYDESIGN. We all had came together and we had a conversation about that, and we wanted to find a way to address it through our personal passions and creative means. And it had came together. I mean, we bounced around a few different ideas of maybe it could be a lookbook, maybe it could be something that could live solely on socials, maybe it could be just a digital product. But we realized as we went down that hole of discovery that it was probably best to bring all of our passions, talents, and bring it all together and put something like By Design and the magazine and the brand together.
That's so awesome. And so for those that aren't familiar with By Design, like how would you describe it? Like, do you have like I guess like an elevator pitch for By Design?
Yeah, By Design is a lifestyle brand for creatives and entrepreneurs that is here to inspire and motivate them to explore their entrepreneurial desires and to be that creative that they want to be inside. Again, when we talk about those comfortable spaces, By Design is in place here. It's that brand here to say that it is okay to be who you are, and it is okay to go after those desires that are within you and to be a creative. And being a creative is not just a buzzword. It's a means and a way of life. It's a way that you can feed yourself. It's a way that you can be a business owner. It's a way of life for you that you should be comfortable being in your own skin doing. So that, in a nutshell, is the heart and the who of what By Design is.
Awesome. And so if people want to learn more, they would go to bydesign.com.
The website is www.bydesignmag.com. We're also on all socials, By Design Mag on IG and Twitter. If you want, definitely check us out. Today we released our next offering of By Design Radio, which is an opportunity to give creatives a platform to put out the music that inspires them through carefully crafted and curated playlists.
Oh, wow. And are they on like Spotify or?
Spotify and Apple Music.
That's so cool.
We just put one out today by one of our guys on the team, Quentin Burnett. It's called Dawn. Check it out on Apple Music and Spotify if you got the chance.
Awesome. I'm going to have to link to that in the show notes for sure. And so what would you say is one of the biggest lessons you've learned as you've worked on By Design?
I think definitely that intentionality is wildly important. That as you continue to build a brand, there's a certain responsibility that you take on to not only yourselves, but the community of people who are following you and have an understanding of who you are and what you're trying to do. I think for us, building a media platform and having a physical magazine, having the digital magazine, podcasts, and other products. For us, there's a lot of people who identify with the brand. And though I know in today's times, we all understand the fear of being pigeonholed as a Black brand and as the Black magazine or the Black platform. But trying to fight against that, you can also, I think, fight against the responsibility that you have to a community of people that you are creating a safe space for, or a comfortable space is probably a better term, to where they can go after their creative endeavors or their entrepreneurial desires the way that they want to go about it as their authentic selves, loving style and fashion, loving creativity and everything in between. So I think that that's definitely one of the biggest things. And as we move with intentionality, the product continues to be where we think it should be. And we continue to do the things that we know that we need to do to keep moving forward.
Oh, wow. Yeah, thank you. I think, yeah, being intentional is super important.
Yeah.
And so how do you recruit? Like, how did you get your team together? Because when I went to your Saturday market event,
Yeah.
like, I really loved seeing like how many people were there to, support you and to, yeah, just really be there and, help people get connected. And so how do you go about like sharing your vision for By Design with other people and doing it well enough to kind of get them on board and be willing to just help out?
I think it definitely comes back to the intentionality that we've been moving with, and people kind of identifying with what we're doing and appreciating the message that we're trying to put out there and how authentic it is, and the fact that it is just, this is how we truly feel in our hearts, and the brand that we're putting out is something that they can, I think that really resonates well with them. And from there, for us, it's really about just giving opportunity to try to work with other people. We really understand like nothing that we're doing we're not the reason why it's important. So if people are feeling like they are seeing themselves or identify with what we're doing, we would love to work with those people. And our team, the committee that we put together, people just naturally reaching out or saying, hey, we would love to be a part and love to just help out. Without them, we wouldn't continue to be growing I think at the rate or in the pace that we are. So it's definitely a big shout out to everybody who had volunteered and the people in the committee, and a lot of those people from the committee who gave their time and their effort each week, day in and day out, to kind of carve and make sure that the overall vision for what we were doing was set out. We continue to work with them as the core team. So this time I just want to give my little shout outs to them. Taj, Nikita, Kayla, Gabby, Kiera, Jamie, Quentin, my co-founder Mufwa, who's an amazing leader. I just want to really a shout out to them, honestly.
That's so awesome. And also just like, I love all just like the graphic, like the graphic design and just like how everything you guys put together. So like you can tell a lot of like thought and work goes into it.
Yeah.
So that's something I always just take note of when you guys like post new things on like Instagram. I'm like, oh wow, like it just all just comes together so well. So you guys are definitely doing a good job with that.
And that wraps it up. Thank you so much for listening in today, and thank you Undu for an amazing interview. We look forward to the next episode. If there's a topic you'd like us to cover next, please leave that in the comment section below and let us know. Don't forget to follow BOA54 on Facebook and Instagram, and share this video and channel with your family and friends. Also, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and the notification bell next to it so you can keep learning about Africa and you don't miss anything. And if you just subscribed, welcome to the family, and see you guys in the next video.